Well, our latest project here on the channel finally hit the bench, and we have put in some work on this baby here. We're doing our Cougar 2 Works vintage carpet buggy project build, and we're going to bust this build up into multiple parts. So in this video, we're pretty much going to get through bag A, and we're going to cover how we integrate some of the option parts and upgrade parts into the Cougar 2 and some of the things that are a little bit frustrating. Eclipse, you know, vintage is just a thing that you got to deal with, and you definitely want to grab some extra ones or put them together in a little plastic bag, so if they go flying, they're in the bag. Good tip there from somebody. So anyway, let's get started here. I'm Chad. This is the Dorky N40 RC channel, and we're going to start building the Cougar 2 Works today. First of all, big shout out to all of the channel supporters and members. If you want to join the channel, there is a join button below, and you can help further this journey into vintage carpet. So as I said in the previous video of the plan, you can check that right here. Don't want to really rehash everything, but really it just comes down to some of the guys are talking about running a rear motor car, kind of getting bored at running the B7 and just kind of getting killed all the time by the fast guys, because I'm an old dorky and 47-year-old now. So let's try to have some fun. And the Cougar 2 is a very affordable kit. There's tons of RC10 stuff that's out there. I've seen these cars do very, very well. So I figured, why not? Let's just give it a shot. Easy to get parts from Schumacher. They're here literally in like 2 to 3 days for a $20 shipping charge from UPS, which isn't too bad considering I have paid that much or more to get stuff from a couple states away via UPS. So anyway, go figure. You'll see over here, we got a pile of manuals and all that stuff. I pre-recorded some of the video and everything, but what we're going to do is we're going to start and kind of rewind here from the beginning. So we've got our chassis kind of together here. I kind of went and skipped forward too, and we'll kind of pick up the whole instructions and everything earlier. We start in the video cutoffs with installing the front steering bracket here. And what we did previously to that was just kind of build up the arms. The only option parts and stuff that we've added are the actual yoke here and this carbon fiber front brace that kind of dips in there for the arms. Seems like that, according to the Facebook groups and everything, that's kind of a necessary upgrade. Now that does come with longer hinge pins, and it of course has its own instruction sheet. Part of the stuff is just kind of integrating like these instruction sheets that you get with your Cougar upgrade parts into the Cougar 2 Works manual. So definitely be very careful with that. So I haven't had to do anything crazy yet as far as like shimming or anything. I've, replaced some of the screws, of course, and everything with the different hardware. I've got all of the like gold type of hardware here, which it's supposed to be stainless steel. This is like the cheapo gold stuff off of A-Main Hobbies. I thought it would actually be a little bit better than the tapping screws that this kit comes with. Really, the only benefit you're getting is that it's a hex and not like a Phillips and all that kind of stuff. So I do got some regular K&K hardware coming for it. It won't be the gold, but I think in some areas we're going to try to supplement the gold with like the regular stainless, just because I know their hardware is good and everything. So when it comes to building this front end, I've seen that some people have had some issues as far as the parts like fitting together with the plastics and having to take a knife, kind of trim out a little bit of that. I haven't had any problems with that at all. We are using the one-piece bearing carriers right now. Schumacher got the two-piece ones in stock for a couple days, and I did not order any of those. And we'll pretty much just cover everything else in the regular setup, but I just wanted to go over the total front end, because where we're going to pick up is going to be pretty much adding the steering stuff to the front of the chassis. So yeah, no big secrets here. This is pretty much for carpet right here. here where we're going to be adding weight. You know, I think like anywhere between like 30 and like 60 to 70 grams. I've heard people talking about, and a body piece of the body shell goes over top of that. So we're not going to unbox the kit or do anything like stupid like that. Like, you guys can see that. All I can say is after getting through bag A, I am highly impressed with just the freaking quality of this thing. I mean, this kit has so much better tolerances and like zero slop compared to like my B7, even with like optional upgraded parts and stuff on it. So, you know, I'm hopeful that everything's going to run. You know, there's definitely some quirks that you got to work through working on these old kits, like the panhead screws, like E-clips. So make sure you have the right kind of pliers and tools and everything else. And if you are going to try to build it with regular screws and you aren't really convinced that you have good screws, I would good drivers, I would definitely recommend like an iFixit kit. The iFixit bits are just spectacular, and they come with so many different sizes. This is like the basic kit right here. It's like, I think 25 or 30 bucks. I've had it forever. And anytime that I need a driver, that I honestly will go to this before even my MIP tools, which is pretty much saying something, that I trust these bits sometimes more than my MIP. So iFixit kit, definitely recommend it. You can use one of the Amazon affiliate links below. So let's move on with the build here, and we will progress through this. Cruising right along here, we're kind of to the step here where we are on bag A, step number 5. And this is where we're really starting to integrate some of the option parts that we have here. So what we have is we have U8821, the center track rod in carbon fiber, which is all this right here, and U8299, which is the ball raced steering set V2. So right here would be the original kit parts that you get. So you've got your regular standard brace, and then you kind of have some shims and everything that you would use to connect your steering arms together. So we're replacing this with all of this over here, and you can see we've got bearings, we've got some pins that everything's going to ride on. So obviously things are going to be a lot smoother. Each one of these comes with its own instruction sheet, which is very, very awesome. So you don't have to figure out how to get this stuff done. And it's basically taking you through the steps that if you just did the carbon fiber, then go ahead and jump to this part and go back to the manual. But we are doing the carbon fiber brace, and then we are going to go over here and we are going to do the ball race setup on that. So first thing you have to do is you've got some countersunk inserts, press nuts that you have to get inserted into the carbon fiber, and they provide you with a large screw and a couple spacers, and all you do is you're just basically going to take that press nut and kind of center it in there a little bit. Everything is kind of bored out really nice, so it fits nice and square. And then you're just going to basically pull that through with the bigger bolt and the spacers. Obviously, you're not going to want to like tweak this thing down to oblivion, or you could cause yourself a pretty big problem. Shit's getting real now. We're getting the chassis out here, and things have gotten a little confusing. Definitely got to pay attention when you're kind of running through all of this stuff here. So we're trying to do a mix of the instructions of the part that it comes with, and then of course the main instructions. And so we've got bag 7 on the bench here, which is all of this stuff right here. So like your main block that's going to connect the steering brace to the chassis and then to the front end. And then we still got all of the ball raced steering parts over here. And then we have the chassis. So we fitted the arms, and the arms, like a lot of people say, are kind of tricky because, you know, they're not flippy floppy. They don't really need to be. I mean, your servo is going to be powerful enough, but of course you don't want them to bind. And so classic, you know, kind of design. Obviously, it would be nice if it was a little bit more improved, but just kind of like the way it is, you know. So we'll just roll with it and see how things go. So going to be following these instructions right here with the V2 ball race set to go ahead and attach all of this stuff to the chassis. So this is one of those parts that you pretty much got to fight with this thing, but you got to kind of outsmart it. So the first thing you want to do is underneath here, there are two steel nuts, and you want to just basically take a piece of like tape or something and just kind of tape over those to hold them into place. And at the same time, on your bottom side here, your two screws do the same thing. And basically they're asking you to almost do the impossible here in these instructions, because they are asking you to basically put all this together at the same time and flip this thing underneath this bulkhead and then kind of get everything all screwed together. And it's definitely a juggling act. So if we take a look at what I've got going on right here, you can see we don't have the front end connected or nothing yet. What I did was put the tape on there and everything, and we've got the steering rack and the carbon brace, you know, all right here in place, and everything is just taped in. And then these arms were basically right here. And then what I did was I just kind of built it out like it says here in the instructions. So the step washer, the bearing, the flute on each post that's coming up, and then I maneuvered both arm pieces into place. So now we can basically just finish all that off if we wanted to, with bearing going into each one, the step washers facing down on the bearing race, and then that's all going to get tied off with just some locking nuts on top. And we can just kind of do those up loosely so that way nothing else falls out, because we still have to basically mount this up from the bottom here. So let's just kind of reorganize ourselves, get our parts out of the way here, and go ahead and flip this around here. And this part shouldn't be too bad now. So we should be able to just kind of put all of this into place, and it's going to basically engage our nuts, and our tape is holding those in as well as it can. They're kind of wanting to push out at the same time. So I think at this point we can kind of hold on to those, and you can see I'm using some of my gold stainless hardware to kind of bling everything out. And this stuff is definitely not the best quality for sure. It's probably just a slight step up being a hex from the stuff that actually comes with it. So if I had to do over again, which we're not done with this kit yet, probably would just go ahead and just buy some higher quality stainless, like some K&K hardware or something like that. I think they even make vintage kits now, so I might even look into that before we get too far along on the build. So once all this stuff gets tightened up, everything is just kind of like coming together now, and that is all good, and that is all tight. We go ahead and apply a little bit of force, make sure my MIP drivers are totally in there and not galling out or anything. So we can now get rid of this piece of tape, and then all we need to do is come in from the bottom, which those bottom screws are actually flathead screws, which is just mind-boggling, but anyway, is what it is. We'll bust out the iFixit toolkit here, and I will just pull off one at a time and get that locked and centered in there. Just easiest to just lay your driver on there and hold it, so that way you can focus on this flathead here, because you're going to have to just get it going and keep it centered and all that kind of stuff. Probably could have just replaced this with panhead hardware that I had. Not sure why I didn't do that. And everything is in place. From what I have seen in all of the different build videos, the couple that are out there, that's probably the most torturous part of the build. And everything's in there, and there is just no slop or anything. Like, it's very impressive how nice and smooth all of this goes together. It's almost like this kit was made in 2025 with, you know, a little bit of throwback themes going on. So take your time and enjoy that little piece of knowledge right there. Hopefully that helps some of you guys out. Bag 8, we've got our shock tower mounted, and I took a hint that I saw on another video, and we went with super long screws. I think like 25 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken, because the ones that actually come with it are a length of, yeah, they're a weird length. We'll call them 20. So we went, you know, a lot further. And what we did is we ran those all the way back through the shock tower here, all the way back into this block, because I did see that RC Vintage took a shot and had all of his ripped out, because if you use the ones that come with the kit, they literally only go into like right there. So you want to make sure that that is all secured. But in the end, everything here is looking good. So everything is moving nice and free. Very, very minimal slop. There's more slop out of the box in my B7. Just completely amazing. The steering is really freaking smooth. Super pumped on that. That's pretty much where we're at. Bag 9 actually is turnbuckles, and I'm going to save those for later because I don't feel like working on those right now, and we can just move on to bag B in the next video. So you can see the collection of extra parts that we have up here from using the various option parts, and then there's actually more inside here. We've got extra bearings and stuff that would come with the non-raced version, so a V2, which kind of looking at things here, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between what is actually in the kit and what came with the V2 kit. We'll just pretend that we got ourselves an upgrade there, but it's kind of hard to tell. We definitely know that the carbon fiber bridge there was an upgrade and installed differently. And then rounding out this bag, of course, we have the aluminum alloy yokes on the end, and we're still using the plastic one-piece bearing carriers for the axles. Didn't get my order in time to pick up the new ones that are out, so on the waiting list for that, and we'll see what's happening. So my lessons learned is I probably wish I would have gone with better hardware. That was the plan, and we ended up going with hex hardware. But I still think that this stuff is, even though it's stainless steel, it's definitely a bargain stainless steel. But that's the way it goes. So that's what we got right there. We've got ourselves at the beginnings of a Cougar 2 works. So we will see you guys on the next video where we will proceed with bag B. We'll talk to you later. Peace.